On September 7th, 1191, amid the turmoil of the Third Crusade, the Battle of Arsuf took place, a pivotal confrontation between the Crusader forces of Richard I of England and the larger Ayyubid army led by Saladin. Following the successful Crusader capture of Acre, Saladin moved to intercept Richard's advancing army on the coastal road between Acre and Jaffa near Arsuf. After securing Acre, Richard I understood the strategic importance of capturing Jaffa, a key port city that would serve as a launching point for an eventual assault on Jerusalem. In August, he began a calculated march south along the coast. Having captured a significant portion of the Egyptian fleet, Richard was able to safeguard his right flank with naval support, ensuring steady supplies and a fallback option for the wounded. Determined not to repeat the disastrous mistakes made at Hattin, he emphasized constant access to water and defense against heat exhaustion. To repel potential ambushes, Richard kept his army tightly organized. 12 cavalry regiments, each with 100 knights, formed the army's backbone. Infantry guarded the inland flank against attacks, with crossbowmen providing an outer layer of defense. The seaside column carried the baggage train and rotating infantry units for rest and support. Richard's approach was slow but methodical, dictated by the needs of his infantry and supply convoy. In contrast, Saladin's army, largely cavalry, was more mobile and sought to exploit Crusader vulnerabilities through swift strikes. By early September, Saladin realized that minor harassment would not halt the Crusaders. He resolved to commit his full army. As Richard's forces entered the wooded area near Arsuf, one of the few forests in Palestine, Saladin found the ideal ground for an ambush. His 25,000-strong force, mostly cavalry, including horse, archers, and light troops, concealed themselves in the woods. Richard's army, about 10,000 infantry and 1,200 heavy cavalry, was carefully positioned. The disciplined military orders, Knights Templar and Hospitallers, took key positions in the column's front and rear. The vanguard was led by the Knights Templar under Robert de Sablé, followed by Richard's loyal contingents from Anjou, Brittany, and Poitou, including Guy of Lusignan. The rearguard was secured by the Knights Hospitallers under Garnier de Nablus. Saladin's army began with skirmishers like Bedouins and Sudanese archers, followed by elite cavalry units, including Mamluks, Kurds, and troops from Egypt, Syria, and Mesopotamia. His forces were split into left, right, and center wings, with Saladin himself in the center, surrounded by his personal guard. The Ayyubid forces launched their assault with missile fire from foot soldiers, followed by cavalry charges that would strike and retreat. These hit-and-run tactics tested the Crusaders' discipline. The Crusader infantry, especially the crossbowmen, returned fire while maintaining formation. When this failed to break the line, Saladin intensified attacks on the rear, pressuring the Hospitallers. Despite unrelenting attacks and rising heat, Richard resisted the urge to counterattack prematurely, aiming to hold his forces together until the perfect moment. Eventually, the Hospitallers at the rear were overwhelmed. Crossbowmen were forced into a retreat, breaking formation and exposing their army to greater risk. Seeing the collapse, Hospitaller leader Garnier de Nablus requested permission to charge. Though initially denied, a spontaneous charge was launched by the Hospitaller Marshal and Baldwin Le Caron, rallying others with the cry, "St. George!" French knights joined in, escalating the engagement. To support the advance, Richard ordered a general attack, unleashing his cavalry across the field. Frankish infantry opened gaps for the knights to surge forward. This aggressive maneuver caught Saladin's forces off guard. Muslim chronicler Baha al-Din described it as a masterfully timed move. Saladin's right wing, locked in combat with the Crusader rear, was unable to retreat or withstand the full force of the charge. Many Ayyubid cavalrymen had dismounted for archery and were quickly overrun. The battle turned into a rout. Saladin's center and left wings collapsed, leaving only remnants of his guard and a lone drummer at his standard. Fearing a potential Ayyubid regrouping, Richard halted the pursuit to reorganize his forces. A final Crusader charge scattered the remaining enemy into the forests and hills. That evening, the Crusaders returned to their camp at Arsuf, collecting spoils from the battlefield. Saladin lost 32 emirs and approximately 7,000 men. Richard's losses were under 700. Though Jerusalem remained out of reach, the victory at Arsuf shattered Saladin's momentum, lifted Crusader morale, and reshaped the strategic landscape. It paved the way for the Treaty of Jaffa, which allowed Christian pilgrims access to Jerusalem and underscored Richard's legacy as a masterful tactician.